call.
Katie Fisher.
Louis Gregory.
Brian Sirkovic.
Arnell Quinn.
Katie Souls.
Eileen Waldo. Consent agenda, which includes the minutes for February 7th, the resolution for construction and inspection agreement with Murdoch, and the attorney-client privilege between the town of Fraser and Rod McGowan.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Sorry, you can approve the agenda first.
What's that? No.
Let's approve the-
Oh, very good.
Yeah, okay.
Motion
we have
to approve the agenda.
All right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any discussion? Okay, now the consent agenda,
Okay.
which includes all the stuff I just read.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now open forum. This is business that's not on the agenda. If you'd like, if you would like to speak about something that's not on the agenda, raise your hand and you'll have 3 minutes. Anyone? Nope. How about online? Okay. Okay, so no open forum, discussion and possible action regarding, and the first item is the treasurer's report by Lori.
Oh, too fast, huh?
Gotta eat faster, I guess.
Oh, is there? Sorry about that. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. You guys ready for my beautiful pictures? They're stunning
Bring it
and awesome.
on.
Bet they're stunning.
Okay, we're gonna have the statement of funds. We got some sales tax revenue to let you know about. And I did include short-term rental revenue, and it will be from 2020 to 2024. So a new picture. So the general fund reserves are just slightly down from January. I'm expecting these to increase by March 1st. We're going to be receiving the reimbursement from the Lions Pond bathroom grant that I submitted for the final payment. So that'll bring things up just a wee bit. And that will all get posted. It's being posted now for next month, so it'll look a little bit better. We also had some of the larger first of the year payments. We had the big general liability. It's CIRSA is who we do all of that insurance through, work comp. Big quarterly payment came up. And so that, so we kind of just maintained. Then sales tax revenue. Woohoo!
Yeah.
We went up. That was pretty exciting that I got that. Now remember, that is the reporting in January is the December sales tax. So Fraser experienced a pretty nice increase of over $600,000 in sales tax. So that was great to see, and not sure what's going to happen with January. That, I get you ready for next month because I have no idea how to plan for like the MLK weekend and the Bertha Pass Snowmageddon, the closure. I'm not sure how hard that impact the community, although maybe people couldn't get here, but people couldn't leave either. So I'm not sure where that's going to go. So just to be aware of that, but that it was good to see such a good report from December.
So I'm curious, the beginning is so low.
compared to previous year. but
The
then it
beginning-
jumps up, so why is that?
The beginning month is November,
Yeah,
which I reported in January. Remember, these are technically 2 months behind. We didn't have that great of a November. So the one that shot straight up was the recent taxes that I get that is for January, and I get those right about the first week of February. And so they're reporting December. So that was Christmas, the holidays, and all that good stuff. So yeah, I was disappointed with November. I thought it was going to perform just a little better than it did, but I was really glad to see the upward trajectory
thank you.
for the following month. Anybody else got anything else on taxes? Okay, keep rolling. Okay, this is a new chart. These are the 2020 to 2024 short-term rental tax revenue. It does, you'll see the numbers below. They're just a little bit backwards. I started with 2024, so you can see it as far to the left. I've only got 2 months of reporting for 2024. Little bit lower than what we had in 2023 for January and February. I'm still wondering how much people are traveling further away than just coming to Colorado, still getting opened up overseas, or possibly not traveling because they, could have been. I don't think there was a big shrinkage in the economy. During December, they were reporting retail sales and everything was looking really good. But then travel, I really was not able to target exactly what could have brought that down a little bit, except for just like last summer, people seemed to be going on their big, long overseas trips and things that, they had saved for a while. But the short-term rental generally still stays about 10 to 11% of overall tax revenue. And I'm not sure again with the January fun that we had with Snowmageddon, exactly how that's gonna possibly impact short-term rentals for March. And I kind of expect it to maybe go down a bit, but I'm hoping not. Like I said, I don't know how it's gonna balance out with people wanting to get out, can't get out, staying longer, who knows? So there's the progress. There is one point like June, and I think that's of 2020, or was it May? Oh yeah, May. You see a little like negative. That was right during COVID. So that was interesting when I saw a negative amount, and that was the 2020 of May. So that way, at least you get a picture of kind of what's going on, and that does include, that's hotels and all short-term rentals in Fraser.
Great.
Is this 1 month in arrears?
Yeah, it's the same report.
really-
that yeah,
It is apples to apples because you got February, we're not even through February, and you already have reported out for this year.
well, the reporting comes the first couple of weeks of February. It comes right around the 7th or 8th of each month that I get from the Colorado Department of Revenue. And the reporting that I get that first week or so of February is actually compiled in January. And that information, that data is all from December. Yeah, it's
So it's not February and January. It's
no,
We actualized
2 months
those,
in arrears.
those
I
receipts.
just want to make sure that what we're reporting out for February here is,
December rate. It's December tax
but in
income.
previous years, is it the same?
Yeah.
December, okay.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can, it's compared to, well, yeah, they're all right next to each other, January. Everybody's right next to each other, 24, 23, 22, and 21. That's why I chose this type of a graph so you can see a easier rise and fall.
Okay, just want to make sure it's apples to apples comparison there.
Yeah, and those numbers that are February from last year, the year before that, same thing. They would all be the December tax that was collected and not reported and transmitted to the town until February.
Okay, that might be nice to put on this graph. So people understand you're not reporting out that current month. So you're 2 months behind essentially.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a strong
That's fine.
December.
Yeah.
February's
And-
have been great. This is the second February we've had. That's just been amazing.
For you guys?
Yeah.
Awesome.
One thing of note too is that we did increase, from the ordinance that the town board passed for short-term rentals, we did increase that fee last October to the $250 per bedroom.
Mhm.
And didn't seem to have any impact there.
Nice.
But
Okay.
that's not in this.
Right.
The fees that we
Correct.
collect.
He's just saying we didn't lose.
Right.
People.
So one of the
Due
concerns
to
was
that fee.
increasing the fees for the short-term
Mhm.
rentals when this pushed down the number of STRs. And just want to know that it didn't have an impact.
Okay, thank you, Lori. Next is the Grand County Library District update by Polly Gallagher and her crew. Yeah, Posse. Okay.
If I may go first.
Like, yeah, let's go.
My name is Sally LeClaire. I'm a trustee on Grand County Library Board. And some of you, maybe only a few, can remember back in the 90s, there was a TV car ad that stole lyrics from a song that said, "This is not your father's Oldsmobile." And the library today is not your father's library anymore, but that's Polly's presentation. I just want to say that 10 years ago, my husband and I made Fraser our residence due to family draw. And at that time, there was an opening on the board, and my daughter encouraged me to think about it, and Jeanette encouraged me to apply. And here I am 9 years later, 3 terms. This is the last year of my 3rd term. I was president for 8 of those years. And I just love libraries. And when I make a vacancy, I hope that you will find someone who loves libraries as much and comes up, because there's wonderful things going on. And Polly is a great leader, and I will let her tell you all that has been happening with she and her staff.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you,
years of
Sally.
service.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sally.
Thanks, Sally. My name is Polly Gallagher. As mentioned, I'm with Grand County Library District, and with me is Jeanette McQuaid, who is the branch manager at Fraser Valley Library. How long have you been there?
This is my 17th year.
17th, yeah. We go for longevity. I love it. We're getting there, right? And so with that, thank you so much. If you don't mind pulling up the presentation, that would be great. What we're here to do is our annual report out as far as what happened in 2023 and what we're planning moving forward. So in taking a look, just to do a quick review on the next page is our mission, which I love touting over and over and over again. I mean, what could be better than boundless opportunities, right? And that's what our libraries are here to do in Grand County. And taking a look at that, there we go. Grand County Library District is a community resource that supports the residents and visitors with opportunities to delve and explore the world and delve into passions. And with that, taking a look at the next one, we have just 3 key areas that we're really focusing. And again, I've been touting these ones over and over again every time I come, because this is our strategic framework. Curate valuable resources and services. We're looking at access, really focusing on when, where, how people can use them, and to be an essential service in our community. And just to highlight a few on the next slide, our celebrations that we've had this year. We are the proud, Grand County Library District is the proud recipient of the President's Award for the Colorado Association of Libraries. Thanks. It's been a great program. That's a partnership with Grand County Public Health and Mountain Family Center. And through discussion, we realized we were all looking to serve the same population, target our senior population, especially with the aging in place movement that's happening in Colorado. And it's been replicated throughout the state at countless libraries and senior centers. So we're really proud of that. We paid off our building debt on Granby and Juniper libraries. We did it early, saving taxpayers $1.4 million in interest and service fees. And in doing that, that also released Fraser Valley Library, which was our collateral for those loans. We've expanded staff hours, we've increased our visitors and all sorts of wonderful things. We've decreased our hold times. I always get excited about that, and expanded our digital media library. We've been working to engage with schools and homeschools, and we've currently contracted with Demon Studios to develop a Kremling library program building plan. A little bit more about that soon. So in the next slide, we're into AI, right? Here's an AI image that we're all trying to see how to engage. I'm going to call this guy Al. And Al is a new resident in Grand Lake. He moved to the county after multiple years of his daughter saying, hey, why don't you move up here, move up here, move up here through the pandemic. He didn't want to leave his friends that he had in the Denver area, but as sometimes happens, unfortunately, his friends moved to be near their family. Some died, some changed location. And so with that, Al finally relinquished and he moved to Greene County in the March, April time of 2023. He was looking to connect with other individuals and feeling pretty isolated in the community. He ended up, through his daughter's suggestion, going to one of those lunch and learn programs that I mentioned. So each month at each of our libraries, a program is held that's marketed to individuals 60 and over. A meal is provided. You've used Safeway actually a lot, but we've used a variety of caterers and local restaurants to provide the meal. And from that, then Jeanette and her staff at Fraser Valley Library put together about a half-hour program. I think you've had paleontologists, you've had nuclear submarine experts, you've done all sorts of different things.
Medicaid programs and
Yep.
some informational, some of interest. We had the Grand Chorale do December holiday music. So
Yeah, a wide variety of programs. And with it, Al went to one of those programs at Juniper. And then the next week he went to one at Granby. Week later, he was at Fraser, went to Kremling as well, went to Hot Sulphur. Now Al has really dialed into the senior community. He travels around the county every month, going to every single lunch and learn program, and he's not alone. So this next slide shows about mid-year, we were looking, is this program successful or not? And we've had 486 mid-year. We ended up with over 990 registrations for this program. We've actually had more attendees than that. With that, majority of the attendees that come, they don't just go to one and done. They're going to multiple, be it multiple branches, be it multiple programs at Fraser or Granby, whichever their home library will be. Our focus on this was in regards to social isolation. So pleased, in January, the people that signed up individually. Now, when I look at the registration, there's individuals signing up groups of 3, 4, 6, depending on how many people the system allows them to sign up. And when we looked at this mid-year, we found that there is a significant number of participants that were going back and forth between Fraser and Granby. And there were some, like Al, who were traveling around from library to library to library, going to multiple. And that's the program that's now being replicated around the state.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Nice.
So proud of them. Our next slide has a book, The Paris Assignment. This one is one that had tons of holds on it. I am so proud of our Director of Library Resources. They've completely revamped the processing of materials. And now with that, any of our items that we have long holds on or that are new, that people are waiting for the release, it used to be that we would go through that processing and pay our publisher to do that processing for us. They've switched around. It means a lot more work on that department, but now that they're doing the processing of those high demand items, they're actually on the shelves or in people's hold box the day that the book's released. It's exciting to see. We've also doubled our budget for digital resources. So those of you who love Overdrive, who love Hoopla, we've now got a lot more resources available. Our next slide is a picture of a beautiful radon test. I don't know if anybody picked up the radon test at the library, but we've been working with a lot of local departments to provide weather radios, Office of Emergency Management, radon tests through Greene County Health Environment, as well as snack bags from Mountain Family Center. So it's just been a great way. And we work with Grand Beginnings when they do classes, parenting classes, that we're a distribution site for people to come and pick up the materials because we're a place that is throughout the county. Next one just shows you how things are going. My favorite one on here is the fact that we have last year nearly 1,800 new card holders at our library.
Wow.
I'm really excited about that. The other item I'm excited about, and I know people will be like, 2021, you're coming out of the pandemic. Well, a lot of people came to do programming at the library because it was a nice outdoor social spot. We've actually doubled our program that we offer, and we've more than doubled the participants in those programs. You're going to see some pictures in a second of our solar eclipse program. We had more than 600 participants throughout the county. Our kickoff for our summer reading program, we had about 100
Just at Fraser.
just at Fraser. Kremling had 130 kids, people that participated in those programs. So the community events and celebrations are drawing a lot of people. We just actually
We're showing Paradise. I just left there and we packed a full house. We had a wait list and a panel of mental health experts are there for discussion after. So.
And I think it just goes to show the amazing job that our librarians are doing in providing the program that's wanted, needed, desired in the community. So nice job there. Okay, we're just going to show a little video of some pictures, and then Jenna's going to share a few things, but go ahead and hit go. And this just gives you an idea of where we are out and about in the community and the types of programs that are being offered. Oops, there we go. Is it going to let you do it? If not, that's okay.
It's my favorite presentation of the year. I love it. On to play.
And I can talk a little while
Yeah,
we're
go
trying
for
to
it.
get this to go, but it just highlights some of the programs that we're doing. I think a lot of people think of libraries as the traditional, story time, after school clubs, book clubs. And yes, we have all of the above, but we also cater to our unique communities. Well, district-wide, we also share like an outdoor adventures club where there's snowshoes and, hiking clubs depending on the season. And we do movies and, the senior lunch and learn. But unique to each community, like Grand Lake does story time for adults. They have virtual reality for adults. Kremling is doing ELL, which is learning conversations in English for a Spanish-speaking population. Granby has started a new Wonderstruck Wednesdays for their after school, kind of did a different spin from like a homework club to this Wonderstruck club, and they saw huge increases in numbers. Hot Sulphur Springs is doing a homeschool, like a program for homeschoolers every Friday, considering they're centrally located. So people can go with their homeschool families, and it's a way for them to meet and engage with just other homeschoolers. And then here in Fraser, in January, we were lucky to have Katie Souls come and do Tai Chi of the 5 Elements. In February, we did a National Pet Lovers Day. We had the animal shelter come and talk about updates of what was going on with the animal shelter, and canines and kids. So we had a panel of people come. Tonight, like Polly mentioned, we have Paradox. And then look out in March. I'm just booking now, March 16th. We're going to have John Ewert with Colorado Parks and Wildlife and Kurt Klinke with Trout Unlimited, the Colorado Rivers Headwaters chapter. They're going to talk about the reconnection of the Colorado River at Windy Gap. So March 16th, 2:00. I'll do a little plug for that. And then anything else? So yeah, just featuring some of the programs there.
And one of the big pushes has been to be doing more outreach. You might have noticed that we had librarians at Vicious Cycle and other places. And the intent is we recognize that now more and more people are looking for us to go to them rather than just forcing everyone to come to us. So let's go ahead on to the next slide. With this, if we can. Yeah, we can. Yay, well, thank you. Just in looking at 2024 and where we're going, I mentioned as far as expanding our digital collection. I don't know if you noticed on one of those graphs, it was the physical and the digital. And we're actually at that point where that digital has surpassed the physical. We knew it was coming, right? We've also providing monthly media literacy programs for adults and teens. I mentioned about AI. We're looking at the library's role in helping the community, especially with the election coming up, and how to recognize fact from fiction has been a big push of information literacy. Now we have AI. Looking at engaging tweens, teens, we have take makes that we take up to the middle school now, and we're also actually getting ready to start a middle school library club. And we're really working on a gap analysis with our staff and needs and how to fill those in. So for example, teaching financial literacy, Spanish language, those are some examples. We are expanding our hours at Juniper and Kremling. We are implementing a new ADA web accessible website or a new accessible website. Outdoor electricity. It's huge. People want to come and work at the library. They need the Wi-Fi. Our Wi-Fi is available 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. So making sure they're able to plug in, and all sorts of other accessibility items, including the amphitheater that we've just put in at Fraser. We're expanding that. We got a grant. Yay. We have a lot of citizen science work. And also that last one there is One Grand Book. You'll see all sorts of events that are happening in March and April around the book Go as a River. Jeanette mentioned one of them on the 16th. We actually have the author Shelley Reed coming March 15th. She'll be speaking at the Granby Library, and it's a wonderful book. It's one of Miriam at Mountain Shire's highest checkouts. If you look online, we have 160 holds for it.
Wow.
And a lot of people have been reading it, but we've got a lot of copies of it. So it's going through pretty quickly. So hope that you can join us March 15th for Shelley Reed. Thank you so much. If there's any questions or
Thank
anything.
you, and I do have
Thank you,
to-
ladies.
I have one last thing. I did get the fire chief to stay tonight because I told him I had a little announcement for him, but we do have our Frontier Fire is currently installing our new dry line. Hopefully it'll be done this week. So I knew he'd be happy to hear that. We've had years of false alarms related to that. So anyway, yes, and thank you. And I really, some of you I recognize, I can't say who because of our nice privacy laws that we respect at the library. But if you haven't been in, I do have a relatively new staff. I have 2 people that just pushed the year mark. And then I have one person who's just a few months, but she is a born and raised Grand County, and she actually grew up in our library. So if you haven't been over there to meet our staff, please go get your library card. And then I do really want to just thank our board. We have a very diverse geographically and in thought board. And I just rest assured they're, you know, nationwide with book bans and stuff. I just feel really solid that we have a great process for that, and just a well-versed, you know, our board's very educated in the just intellectual freedom and just the library law and the importance of the freedom to read. And then I have to thank Polly as well. I did this last night at Winter Park, but you know, I've been at the library district for 17 years. I've been in the town of Fraser for 30 years. I've gone through a handful of other executive directors, and they were all wonderful. Really what sets Polly apart is that we did a community needs assessment to design that strategic plan. And we really, all the work we do every day without, I mean, it's so ingrained now, we don't even think about it, but we really are working toward that strategic plan. And then we are always looking for gaps of service, and we work really hard to fill those gaps. So I just have to give her kudos for being a good leader. So thank you, and thanks for the time. I know that we went a little long.
Thank you, ladies. Okay. Next is a Slate Communications logo presentation. Ryan? What?
Hello, board. Thank you for having us back. I am Ryan Burke. I'm one of the co-founders of Slate. Lacey Mays is on Zoom with us, and if you recall, she was presenting just a couple weeks ago, and so this is the next step and some of the surveys that everybody had partaken in. And so what we're going to do is just going to walk through and give you a quick summation of where we are, and then we'll look at the 3 final logos that everybody here had chosen. And so if I can just start by talking about the few surveys that we've had. So you've actually, as a board, have filled out 3 surveys. And the first one had 10 font styles, 8 logo illustration styles, 3 color palettes, 8 existing logo examples. And what we did is, based upon the feedback that we received from everybody on the board here, is we created 2 new logos based upon what the board here had chosen. Now, with the second survey, we provided 13 logo options, and 2 of those were the new ones based upon the board's direction, and the remaining 11 were ones that the actual branding committee had looked at. And so after you were able to look at those 13 logos, we narrowed it down to a final 4 and 2 color palettes to work with. And so with this final survey, which is number 3, this is what we're going to review today. And so if we can go to the next slide here, we'll just look at the color palette here. And so this is the final choice. It's a little hot on the screen here. It looks like the one behind there is a little bit more accurate to the colors, but this is the top choice for the color palette. As you can see, it reflects a lot of the colors from the Sunset and Byers Peak as well. What's nice about this particular color palette, it does differentiate your community from a lot of the other regional communities when it comes to colors. So the second choice was reflective in a lot of other logos for a lot of other communities. So, you know, our goal really truly is to help Fraser stand out from all your other neighboring communities here. If we go to slide 3. So these are the top choices of the design styles. So this is an existing font at the top here. We did modify it with the most recent version just to give you a more unique font, but it still does look a lot like that. There's some elements that are a little bit different. When we looked on the right there with the top choice of the actual 2 peaks in the river, that was an illustration style. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to take that and just emulate that, or emulate Byers Peak with that actual more reflective peak style. And then the bottom choice is one of the actual logos that already exist, but this is the style that became the top choice as well. So it is kind of that outdoorsy, rugged style, something that really does show uniqueness to this area. And so if we go to slide 4, what we're looking at here is this is out of the last survey, this is the top choice. This is option A. And so as you can see, we see Byers Peak, we see the pine trees, we see the Fraser River, and then we have the variation of that typeface that it was chosen as a top choice. And then we integrated the color palette as well. If we go to the next slide. This is the mock-up and applications of the logos as well. So you've seen plenty of variations of this on the truck, on apparel, on the hats, on the business cards, on the front of the building here as well. So we wanted to make sure that, again, we're really creating this bold logo that really pops so people know when they see that truck, the Public Works truck driving down the road, that they know that this is a town organization truck. And if we want to go to the next one here, we're going to look at option B. And so this is a little variation of what you've seen last time with the last survey. We got some feedback in the last survey about the actual sun in the logo and trying to incorporate some options from logo C into this with the actual sunset behind the mountains. And so again, we have a couple of mountains, a representation of the Fraser River, and then a little bit of a modification of your current logo to something that's a little bit more simplified and bold. And if we go to the next slide, again, this is how the application would look on the different apparel that your town organization staff would be wearing and driving. All right, and if we go to the next slide, and this is option C, this is the third and final logo. This received the lowest amount of votes. but this is one of the newer ones that we had presented to this board. So as you can see, options A and C are how I would say it. These are two board designed logos. So because of the creative direction from this board, we are able to create these two logos and then bring in this option B as one of the original ones from the branding committee. If we can go to and then of course the application. I really quite like how that looks on the hat. So if we go to look at this logo here, we're looking at the scores. And so we did rate these and find that obviously option A was the top choice. But what I want to do is just have the board here just spend a little time talking through this. And at the end of the day, what we're really hoping to do is to formalize a decision today through a resolution, which would ideally go into the consent agenda for the next meeting. So if we have a consensus at the end of this discussion here, we can put this on the consent agenda next meeting. But with that said, I'd really like to hear how everybody feels about the final three logos here and just have a discussion.
So just so I understand, I'm assuming that your first choice got 3 points, your second choice got 2, and your third choice got 1. Is that right? Or how did we get to these numbers? 12, 9, 6.
So A was 3 points, B was 2 points, and C was 1. So 4 people, if I'm math, 4 people preferred A as their top. Well, yeah, it was
Not necessarily.
yeah, not necessarily. That's not necessarily true, but I think 2 or 3, and then it also rated as like a second choice. So it received the most points based upon the scoring.
I'm curious if A has the most points because it was everyone's second choice.
It
font on A. I like to have the raised font.
I didn't figure that out.
I mean, with only 6 people voting, only 6 people that were surveyed.
just the trustees. Yes.
I like
For the
that.
final round.
For the final.
He's my favorite. B.
B?
Yeah, if you could get.
It's Dr. Susie.
I love it.
what's wrong with that?
Right.
Fun place to be.
So, my one question on B is with that font, because we're talking legibility for the visually impaired. It seems like that A to the S could be difficult.
There could be some elements that we could make it a little bit more clear. But yeah, that could be a potential problem, but speaking from experience, I don't think it would cause that much of an issue. But we could, if B were the final choice, I would probably want to spend some time working on that logo just to make sure.
B or C?
B.
On B.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, with B, I would want to spend more time working on that typeface. I think there's some things that need to be modified, including, we can make sure that A is a little bit more apparent.
That's just
So,
a thought that I had.
The
I don't know if
color
anybody
palette,
else-
that was the top choice is not represented in A.
The teal blue and then the gray and the light blue are part of that. So if we go back to, I
There's
think
no
slide 2.
no red or orange or.
But no, because there
You
wasn't.
didn't use them all, but you still used the color palette.
Right. And the color palette doesn't necessarily need to be, all the colors don't necessarily need to be the logo, but when
in there, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay.
when it comes to a lot of the printed material and other pieces, you'll see those colors popping up. Yeah, it's slide 2, I believe, is the color palette.
So,
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
It was the first slide.
just for fun,
Sure.
I don't know, but Madam Mayor,
Yes, Katie.
could, if we have 1, 2, and throw our A, B, and C up there, could we just have a show of hands just to see who favors what, just for fun from our public?
Yeah,
No,
can
you
pull
wanna
up I can't remember what slide number. I think it's slide 9 or 10. Slide 10.
I don't like the lack of tree in B, but I think B's cool. I don't know.
You like the combination of colors,
Yeah.
and I like it
What's your-
too. It was
what's
just,
your
the
favorite?
font was the one thing that I was concerned about.
A looks really strong, but I like B because it gives us that sense of fun and it kind of keeps the same S we had in the previous logo, which
Yeah.
The S from the
Kinda.
other one.
kind of fun to keep that in there. So
Mhm.
I like C.
What?
C is the best. So
I like A.
it's a badge.
There's that.
It's a
millennial man.
badge.
He needs a badge. Badge honor.
1979, man.
Here's the Boy Scout.
Anyway, yeah, the badge can stand alone without the word Fraser.
Yes.
I like that it has all the colors in it. I like that it has Byers Peak and trees. It has that sense of river on the bottom. It has everything that we've kind of asked for. And then I think the font is clean. I think A's font is like too rough, and I think B's font is too, I guess, whimsical. And so C is my favorite.
I do like the badge and C, but I didn't like the font. It'll look dated, I think. So, I don't know.
I think C feels boxed in.
I like that box.
I like wide open.
Well, are we
so
gonna
funny.
overrule people's votes here? I mean, A1, right, by a pretty significant margin, right?
Well, like,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
like, Brian said, A could have been everybody's second choice and got the most second points. And got 12 points for it.
That's ranked voting.
Yeah, right.
That's what.
Ranked voting.
I do believe that I think A received 2 votes. But Lacey, if you do have those numbers at hand, we can actually break down. So A did receive the most first and second choices out of all of them, obviously.
That doesn't bring up the natures.
Yeah, no, yeah, we don't need any names going on.
Yeah, I do have those numbers. A did receive 2 first choice votes and 3 second choice votes.
3 first.
Have we thought about putting it out to the community and let
Again,
citizens?
well,
again?
We've got a room full
Well,
of
we
here.
narrowed it
No,
down
let's
to
vote.
three.
May I? Hell,
Well, this is not necessarily a representative sample.
We could have a hand raise.
Let's just get this
Yeah.
on.
I'm interested.
Okay, who likes A? One. Who likes B? 2, 3, 3. And you staff can get on this too. Who, maybe not now.
Well, staff's gonna be wearing the
Like
clothes
C.
out.
Wearing it.
Who likes C? 1, 2,
Yeah,
3,
C.
4,
This
5,
has been good too.
6. Okay. And Brian.
It looks good on trucks. Yeah.
I don't want to sway anybody's opinion, but if we go back one slide, C is probably the most flexible and does have the most standalone logo. So if you look at the hat, it does stand alone. It is recognizable.
Yeah.
It's more memorable. I have some issues with option B. If we go back to, I think, option B, the logo doesn't stand alone as well on the hat. And there's going to be a lot of circumstances where you might have that standalone logo mark.
Yeah, you're right.
So, but Katie, you said, Katie, you didn't like the font on Fraser.
Right.
So just to try a little different font?
You could swap the font from C and B.
Yeah, I really like the badge on C. I think it's cool. And it has trees in it and Byers Peak, sunset. I mean, it looks like Brady.
That's the shape of a.
Doesn't have the river though, but that's okay.
Well, the river is at the bottom.
highlight.
It's the
And-
waves of
and it-
the badge.
Oh,
Yep, and it does balance out the profile and it. Okay. More people like the badge out there, so we got a little support. So badge with just a little different fonts for Fraser?
Well,
I mean, the font's not gonna make or break it, whatever, you know.
What's that?
The font wouldn't make or break it for me, really. That's just why I
Okay.
like C better or B better than C, but I like the badge a lot.
it's the colors for me. The more colors we have in the thing, and I agree with B. The hard part is how it looks on trucks and hats and
Mhm.
patches are good. They've been around since the 60s, so you know, Weebos.
What's your favorite one, Sarah? Sarah W?
Oh, God. Sarah W's back there.
Or there she is. I heard her laugh.
What's yours?
Yeah, I mean, coming from somebody that uses it all the time,
Yeah.
my choice would be C.
Okay.
Well, I'd make a motion to make C our new logo and seeing if we can incorporate the Fraser from B in. the lettering.
Or somehow, something kind of like that or modified or
that.
something.
Let's go.
Give us a
Well,
more
is there
font.
some way we can make the river
What if
more rivery?
More
what if that,
No,
what
it just,
if the river was the light blue?
Light blue. I like
Yeah, you
that
can make the
idea.
river light blue with a stripe through it. It'd make look like it has the water running through it.
True.
yeah, but it looks like it,
Yeah.
looks like an ocean, like you're
Well,
surfing.
Yeah, because you don't have that light.
What we could do, and what I would suggest is if the board is okay, one more survey, that does have variations of the badge and then, type variations with the badge.
Great.
Okay.
And so we'll work on, options B font a little bit more. And then, maybe some variations of what the option C font as well. So,
And the river. With the river.
and the river, so make it
Cool.
more river-like, a little bit more distinct.
Hey,
I like it.
I'll second.
Yeah.
Okay.
I made a motion.
I made a motion. We got a second.
Do we need a motion on that?
We gotta make a vote on it to decide which one we're moving forwards with. So I would say yes.
Well, I mean,
Well,
I
your
guess I have a
motion
problem.
didn't really include,
My motion. was
A
to
and
take
B
C
came in
and
first and second, and then you're gonna pick C. And you're kind of ignoring people's votes now, whether or not,
It was our own votes though.
well, I know, but you're ignoring my vote.
Make
Here.
make
All
your
of
case.
us
And I
are
think-
here.
Make your case right.
Make your case. Why do you like A so much?
All of us are here.
I just like it better than, I could go with B, but I think C to me looks like a Boy Scout merit badge or something.
What I just said.
It does.
Mhm.
That's why I like it.
Which
I'm
I
not-
think,
It's a badge.
I don't like it.
I wish there was a little more color in A.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you.
or you change the
You know
font.
what A reminds me of? Grit. Y'all been watching Grit? You guys might be too young. It's a station that has all the old westerns.
Yeah, isn't that a John Wayne
Grit.
movie, Grit?
Yeah,
True grit.
yeah.
True Grit.
That's the station. It's called
Well,
Grit.
that's how Fraser was built. With some
That's
grit,
right.
Yeah.
Those that have been here for a
Yeah.
couple days.
I did say
Mhm.
grit in
But,
the interview when they asked one word. I did say grit.
But we do need to, we
There
need
it
to
is.
give them a more direction, and so we might have to go with.
I think he said it. I think, yeah, play with the fonts and add some color to the
Well, the-
river.
So do we need to vote right now as a, just as
We're gonna
the
get
six of
a
us?
survey.
Yeah, but
But
we're
that's
getting
just-
another survey, but
It's gonna focus
just
on
counting
C.
A,
Could you
which
put,
some, two of us at least,
yeah, could you
put
put,
as first choice.
Well, on A, if you were to do the color palette running up through the trees and on the white part of the mountain. No, just some. of
could
that
you add some more
so you get
color
the-
to A
And Alpin,
In A.
and then maybe change the font on B?
Mm.
I mean, that's what I would,
Well,
Oh, poor
they were
guys.
trying to keep the font from the
Are
original
we the most
size.
difficult board you've ever dealt with? I
we
feel
wanted
like
a resolution tonight. Did you?
He looks like the
Next
cat
time.
in Swell's house.
This
You should
every
just let Sarah
brand,
pick in the
every
first
brand has
place.
its own process, and
Oh.
you know, I'm talking to a board who knows their area very well, their community very well, and so we want to bring forward a brand that truly represents that. And so we're bringing a brand for your community, we're bringing a brand for your town organization. We never expect to go one round and done. We always expect a few rounds. And so
Six?
what
I think we're up to six.
I think we're getting very close. And what I would suggest then is if we're kind of leaning towards C, but there's elements of A, I think there's maybe a combination there as well.
Yeah.
And so I think what I would say is another survey, combinations, font combinations, style combinations, trying to take A and C, trying to mesh those together somehow. We can do that. And I think if we could put that together, get the survey out to you soon and then talk about it at the next board meeting.
I mean, the good thing is it's hard to pick between the three, so we're gotten really close to what we want. So
Yeah.
it's,
I can
you've
see
done a
though
great
where
job getting us close. to
these,
where we
it's
wanna be.
cool looking, but it'd be harder to reproduce. I do think when we look at the survey though, that we should consider what Sarah had to say as our marketing person and who does all the reproduction. Just keep that in mind. You're welcome.
No, but they're great. It's hard to choose from. Even when we did the survey, it's hard to pick which one you like because there's so many different parts of it.
Okay, so if we do put together a survey, and one really does come out on top,
Everybody has to pick it.
Or you can do rank voting, you can do the same.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
You're gonna do the rank voting.
we can rank it, yeah, and then,
Or, I mean, I don't know, that may be
Just do-
confusing the issue.
Why-
First
place.
Instead of just,
maybe a first.
One vote.
I don't know.
yeah, you get one vote. I like that. Yeah, you can go with that. You get one vote. Pick which one you like the best, and whichever one comes
Yeah,
out. comes
that's
out.
how it should be.
Not a first, second, third. You get
Yeah.
to pick one that you like.
but then you might just have
6
everybody,
votes.
we have 6 different logos, 6 different,
If it's 2, 2, and 2, we have to have a conversation.
Can we have
No,
Sarah
can we
be
go
the
to Sarah?
tiebreaker?
Sarah's a tiebreaker. Sarah's a tiebreaker.
You come up with 3 designs.
No, just go through and get design. We have designs, right? We have two
Right.
designs we're working. It's just color and font. Right?
So if we only work with A and C, do we leave someone out on B?
Just the S.
No, I mean,
I'm fine with not having.
a person.
No, I'm
Yeah.
just.
I don't think anybody's heartbroken about it.
No, no.
I'm not a
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've eliminated B.
Yeah, so we do C and A.
okay?
I mean, C is great because it has, it has the patch and it does have a lot, and it has all the colors. And I like A, and I think I'm one of the ones that put A as my #1 choice because it reminds me of growing up in Fraser. But however you want to put that grid or whatever, A is the one that reminds me of Fraser the most.
We're old.
But seeing it on, yes, right. Seeing it on trucks and hats, that's why I like C. It makes more sense on a truck and a hat, but
Yeah.
A is the one that reminds me of what Fraser is.
That enough direction?
That is,
Thank
all right,
you. Thanks for coming up.
all right, thank you, everyone.
Put a house
Okay.
badge around. A.
Safe drive home.
Settlement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good luck.
Yeah.
And thanks for your feedback. All the folks out there.
B originally, but I changed it to C.
Okay, now we have the ordinance number 512 approving conveyance of fee structure determinable to Fraser Valley Arts. Michael.
Thank you, board trustees. So, just a little preview to what, before Steve says a few words. This has been a long work in progress for this Art Center initiative that started back in 2017, 2018.
Long before I was involved in it.
Right. And from that came the charge, which Steve was willing to pick up the flag and run with as far as, Steve, we need this art center in Fraser. Steve has ran with that charge. He's done a great job with it. He's had some great public outings and outreach. Some of you guys have attended some of those types of those events. And
Created 501c3.
501c3 financials and investor base. I'll let kind of Steve speak to, but the whole point of the discussion tonight is to complement Steve's efforts and really help him, give him what he really needs to push forward with more of this funding initiative and to get this kind of more, get these wheels starting to get off the ground a little bit here, is a land dedication. And you know, we had a land dedication, a land exchange that went to the ballot last November that did not pass. Well, what this is a land dedication with the provision in the deed that as long as the Board of Trustees identifies that this site that's being discussed tonight, which is the town-owned lot on the northern end of Clayton Court, is the best location for this art center. To approve this ordinance that conveys that dedication of land as long as this is the best suitable site as determined by the Board of Trustees. So what that does is allows for a little bit of flexibility in the future. If a better opportunity comes along for land and we want to do something like an exchange, there's no current dedicated use per state statutes that ties us up where it would require to go to a ballot initiative for any type of a land exchange. So one thing that we're going to kick off here soon, at the next board meeting that we have, we'll be bringing forward who we prefer as to be our consultant for the comprehensive plan update. And as part of that, we will be having a downtown series that we're going to be inviting all the developers and property owners of downtown Fraser and work with the board and the community to work towards a general unified plan for the downtown area. And through that, we could have some discussions as far as the art center's location. What makes the most sense? Is it Clayton Court? It's a great option. I think Steve's done a lot of work on this with DAO architects, and there's some potential future adjacent land opportunities next to the Clayton Court lot. It's right on the river. It's a lot of this has been seen as a large economic driver as well. In addition to just the Fraser art scene really building momentum toward this facility through its events and through its sculptures and murals, the Fire and Ice Festival, the Mural Festival, and all the scenes that Steve is very familiar with Fraser Valley art. So I'll hand it to Steve, and just want you to know that's what we're working on tonight, and Steve will kind of go through some conceptuals as well.
Great. Thank you, Michael. And to be clear, the way my brain works back when I was in positions like yours is I wanted to know what I was being asked for. So I'm going to tell you right up front. The main ask we have for you tonight, and I'll build the case in a minute, is what Michael just covered, which is the approval of this resolution for the Clayton Court site. And I'll explain a little bit why we think that's important. But there are 3 or 4 other things that I'd like to put on your radar that don't have to be decided tonight, but they're going to be very important. And again, I'll explain them why. Secondly, we need some guidance as to the thinking of the town board as how we're going to address parking. You heard it earlier tonight in the workshop. You're going to see in a minute why this is so important to this particular site, but it's going to be important to every single bit of development that happens there. Third, you'll see some easement or setback issues that we'll need some cooperation from the town planning group on, and eventually all of you to approve. Again, I'll explain that. Fourth, and it's more longer term, there are some opportunities down the road to potentially acquire land adjacent to the current site, which would substantially impact and potentially cheapen the cost of construction. And we would raise that basically just to your radar. Michael's well aware of what those are. And then lastly, with regard to the DDA, one of the things we will be actively asking the DDA, should it get approved, is to commit some small portion of funding on an ongoing basis to the Arts Center, as a number of Colorado communities have done, including our model situation up in Basalt. So let me back up. That's what we'll be asking you for at the end of this. I do want to acknowledge a few people who have taken the time to be here. On the computer, we have April Obermeyer, who's a member of our PAC and a member of the board of Fraser Valley Arts, as is Callie McDermott, sitting right here. John Church and his wife, Terry, are substantial supporters at a financial level of Fraser Valley Arts and therefore your center. We have Devin here representing DAO, whose work you're about to see, and a number of other interested parties who are going to be watching and recording because they couldn't be here tonight. My point there is a lot of people care and they want to see this happen. So what are we trying to do? And if you could call up option 3 for me, Michael. Perfect. What you see here is a very beginning. If you've ever been involved in architectural work, it's called a massing diagram. And we did this to start to explore the Clayton Court site as opposed to the Mural Park site. Clayton Court site is substantially bigger when you just look at the acreage. One of the challenges, though, is once you reduce it to the buildable space, it's almost the same square footage as the Mural Park site. And that's for several reasons. One, on the right-hand side, as you look at this, you'll see a half circle dotted line. Just a little bit further up from where Michael's mouse is a well. And there has to be a setback from the well. And that setback, of course, would necessitate that the building could not encroach anywhere past that dotted line. Now, the good news is what's to the right or to the east of the building, as you see there, is the river. So this could be used as an outdoor park space and that sort of thing. But one of the things that we will be wanting to discuss with the town is the possibility of working with, not, the well is going to have to be where the well is, but there's ways of working around the easement and the water and the infrastructure as part of our development. So that shrinks a good chunk of the lot. On the left-hand side, which is the east, you see parking spaces depicted. If you recall from our last conversation, the intent here in the performance space, the big square you see there in the middle, which would be about 175 to 200 person flexible space, which is what we need in order to make enough money to pay for this thing. In order to have the required number of parking spaces that are required by code, we need about 50. If we put half of those spaces on the site, it takes up half of the site. Okay? There are other solutions, as we were talking about earlier during the DDA. If there's a common parking solution for this area, that would significantly impact our opportunities here. The other thing is, if you look at the north and south side, the top and the bottom, what you see is the building drawing is right up to the line. And that probably is in violation of a setback requirement, but that is something that the town controls. Immediately to the south, which is the bottom, we'll of course have Greg and Kevin's development. And on the other side, another potential development down the road, because there's some land there. So those are the three issues that constrain the space. We're not necessarily saying it can't be done. We're not at all saying that. But we want you to be aware of those issues, because when one kind of looks at the site on a piece of paper, you think, hey, it's pretty big, but there's only so much of it that can be built upon. All right. The other point I'd make here before we switch to a better drawing is that we're not going to be the only entity that's going to have to deal with these problems. And so as we do the Clayton Court development, this is kind of an early warning sign. If you could go to 3A. And start on the bottom left, the parking one, by just zooming in on that. So what Devin and Dan Orecchio and others at DAO have been helping us with is imagining what this could look like on the site, given some of the constraints. And these constraints could change. And that's, as I said earlier, one of the things we're going to look for guidance from all of you on. But within the constraints as we have them now, what we did with this second drawing is we said, all right, if we need to put 25 parking spaces on this location, we'd do it on the first floor. And so what you see here is a first floor parking structure underneath your future 3-story center. Height becomes a bit of an issue. If you scroll over to the right, you'll get to the first floor. And zoom in on that. And I'm not going to take you through every one of these. Michael has this document. He can forward it to you. These are very conceptual. They're not at all set in stone. We're just playing with the spaces to better understand it. But this starts to give you a better sense of what, if we were working within the envelope that we've got with the parking below us, which enables us to build more to the west, and still honor that easement around the well, what you might have, which is a large performing space in the upper part, a maker space facing the Clayton Court Road, and so forth. The trouble with this is that first floor parking adds about $4 to $6 million. Okay? The upside of this is that it does connect to the river. And, you know, as we had in the workshop earlier, there's a lot of conversation about the Riverwalk area and how we could really optimize that for our citizenry. And I can easily envision a really terrific outdoor space between the center and the river here that would be landscaped, have some sculptures, probably have some small entertaining space. We could program to that. Could be pretty cool. There are other floors that we won't take you through, but if you'd go to the option 4, what we did with this one is, instead of focusing on kind of just the maximization of utility and the river, and go to the bottom right, what we were looking for was a simpler and less expensive design. and this is probably the one that we would build on going forward with some guidance from all of you, where we still have that outdoor area near the river. The performance space moves to the other side. One of our gallery spaces for Fraser Valley artists who are members who would display their wares and people who work out of the studio. And then if you go up and over to the left, you see how the performance space actually has, yeah, there you go. Above it, 2 studios, the maker space. This is where people like Callie would be holding classes for youth, seniors, you name it, in our community, which we already do, and they're pretty well subscribed. There would be a live work apartment for a visiting artist program. The rest of the residential stuff, we're deferring to Victoria Village. And then on the far right, you see a lower river deck. What would be on the next floor would be 2 outdoor decks, like you see in a number of facilities around here that we would use for things like public events, weddings, trade shows. Business wants to have a reception for its patrons and or its staff. We view that actually, and we've been told that that can be a very lucrative source of revenue. So those are the depictions. We're not asking you to really worry about which one. We're going to do that with your guidance. But what we really could use, to reiterate, is this resolution on the site, because that helps us focus on a particular piece of land. And then if we do choose this site, I want to come back to Michael, your planning staff, work in collaboration with them on the parking guidance, work in collaboration with them about the setbacks and the easement guidance, and therefore be able to take this to the next level where we would develop a new version of this, which was the 2017, 18, 19, that had some elements we no longer have, but lacked some elements we now have in there. So that's what we're asking for. Questions, thoughts, comments?
Did you guys play with the site with like 12 parking spaces instead of 25?
So we absolutely have talked about that. One of the things that we debated is I didn't want to come to this group in a public meeting with a plan that had no parking spaces on it or just had 10. I would love to hear guidance that is something like the intent of the board is to have the DDA have a common parking solution, and therefore you can at least do a conceptual design. These aren't blueprints, that has a lesser number than the 25, something like 10 to 12. That would dramatically improve our ability to space. And it probably would reduce the cost of this by millions of dollars because we wouldn't have to go so high. We may be able to do it in 2 stories.
I'm just thinking, you know, on a day-to-day basis, you want people to be able to go to it when there's not an event going on. But then when there is an event going on, then those spots maybe get converted to handicap only, and everybody else goes to a parking garage or parks somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be some parking nearby for ADA and just ease of convenience. And, you know, I really hope that we serve our senior community really well here too. So there's that, as somebody who's now technically one of them, which I still can't get my head around. So yeah, I hear you.
So can that half circle be used at all for parking?
Right next to the river, right?
Yeah, it's
So people on the computer can hear you.
Devin McLean with DAO. So it gets really finicky with that wellhead setback in particular. So our understanding with the town is that the rule around it is a building containing sewer cannot be in that because of state water protection requirements. So the half circle could be used potentially for parking or for hardscaped outdoor areas or for landscaped outdoor areas, things like that. But the meat of the building itself cannot be in there.
I wouldn't really want cars next to
I was just asking about parking,
Yeah.
and like those could be ADA parking spots.
The other trick with that side of the site though too is it's opposite of our access from Clayton Court because the road will come in and do this
Okay.
outside corner relative to our building area.
So you want to maintain the integrity of like a walkable path from Clayton Court.
And it's right across from the bridge almost. That crosses the river there, which is wonderful because eventually that could be incorporated into getting bike and pedestrian traffic off of Wapiti, up in Meadow Ridge, all over. So I think, anyway,
And Michael, if
like
you,
the idea of
if,
having that park space there.
forgive me for that. If you could scroll, there is a second page, if you will, that has an exterior elevation, the one in the upper left. Eileen, just to give you a sense, this would be the part that would be, you'd have to, in order to access that area, you would have to either put a road right in front of this that turns left where those trees are, or on the opposite side of the building and turn in from there, where there's, there's a rivulet through there. So we could figure that out, but it'd also be a shame if we have to live with that. I'd love the citizenry to be able to walk. We were just out there the other day with somebody, Michael and I, and in the middle of a snowstorm, there were 5 people and their dogs who came by. And if there was that outdoor space there, it'd be pretty neat. I'd love it. So our goal here tonight was simply to reinforce our enthusiasm for this resolution, to help you understand that this is doable, and we're going to need a little help. And the places where we need help are some of the regulations around setbacks and easements and parking. You already knew about the parking issue for this area. I don't think that's going to scare anybody here. And we look forward with enthusiasm to taking the next step, which we will do with Devin and his team as soon as we can get that guidance. Thank you. Anything else? Let me know.
Let's see. Any other items for discussion around this dedication? So this dedication is conducted through ordinance 512. So if the board is kind of a summary of my staff briefing, if this is something the board wants to move forward with, and you really want to see this kind of as an anchor for our downtown area, this land dedication is really a catalyst that for Steve's efforts and the Fraser Valley Arts to move forward with more funding for this site and try to get this going off the ground, dive into some deeper design for the site. This land dedication is pretty imperative because if this doesn't happen, not having a kind of a lockable, like this is where we're going to be pushing our efforts into, it does make it difficult for fundraising and just this initiative in general. So
It just seems like this is not enough space for us to put something like that in. I mean, the thing we saw at Basalt, a really nice facility, and they had like a loading dock that they could pull up, a semi, and because you're going to need that, right? They're going to come in with equipment and all that, and it seems like the space is too small for what you want to do.
Oh, so the reason I pop back up, the arts campus at Willits in Basalt that you're referring to that we toured is about 10,000 square feet. This would be bigger than that.
10,000 square feet of land.
No, the facility.
Of the facility.
Yeah. Big rectangle with another small rectangle, not including the courtyard that they eventually want to expand to.
Right.
And so one of the things we've been using is that as a benchmark to see how feasible this is. This is around 13,000 square feet. It just goes up. If we could go out a little bit more, then we probably could drop it to just, and not have to do the parking underneath. We could drop it to 2 stories, and we would have a very similar type of egress and access type that you're describing from Basalt. Had we had the land swap, we could have built a building very much like that, but say la vie. Sorry, I just wanted to clear that up.
Steve, before you go down, if we do the parking lot on the lower level, to get to the 3rd level, because of handicap situations, we'll have to put in an elevator.
We're going to put in an elevator no matter what. If we have that building, and with the the community spirit that we've got there, in addition to ADA, we need an elevator.
And
In part because of what you're referring to.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which had cost.
That land swap was really important to what we wanted to do, but
Yeah.
we are where we are.
There are a variety of ways to skin a cat, though.
Yeah.
I don't quit easily.
I know, I think it's exciting.
He just rolls with it every time. He's like, oh, we're gonna go to the little church, or we're gonna go to this.
Yep.
land, or whatever, you know.
Yeah,
I'd
but,
like
but
to
Val,
make a
I will
mo-
say to Katie's point, we're sort of at an inflection point. Because this, to Michael's explanation there, we're now ready. If you guys commit the land, we do the drawings. And the reason we're doing those drawings is we're going to senators, we're going, and we've been talking to their staffs. We're going to the major foundations in the region. We have a list of moneyed individuals in this county that is about 200 people long. And I want to walk into their living rooms and show them the site and say, put your name on this building, put your name on this gallery. I can't do that right now. And so this one is where we get out of the moving all the dominoes around and we get specific.
I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 512.
Second.
Any more discussion?
Yeah, one thing, if it is approved, which it sounds like it's heading that direction, I would just let you know that the timing of this dedication needs to occur after the dedications to Bison and the transfers that are going to occur down to the south possibly. Because once it's dedicated, the town wouldn't have control to do those things.
Okay.
So I guess I would say the motion should probably be modified to be subject to those dedications being finalized to the south on the Bison property. If that makes sense.
I'd like to adjust my motion to include. Yeah, 1.5 feet. Yeah, to what Ken said.
Can we just call that subject to approval of ordinance 513?
We just table it to the next.
No, is that what's?
Until it's.
So
We could.
Well, one way to
Isn't that
handle
straight?
this, like Antoinette's suggesting, is you could table it and then discuss the Bison dedication next and then bring it back up
Right, that's what I was, yeah,
tonight.
okay.
okay,
All right.
so that's what we're gonna do. Cancel.
I'll make a motion to table the motion. That's what we're gonna do.
But the motion won't be the motion will be somewhat different.
Right.
Okay, so we'll
So-
withdraw.
I will withdraw my motion.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. So now we move on. Ordinance 513, approving easement agreements for Bison and the town of Fraser. Michael again.
Thank you. So just to kick this off, there's a staff briefing in the packet for this. Part of the rezoning process the board went through earlier. For the rezoning of the Riverwalk district, that taking effect for our code. The current right of way for Clayton Court is no longer meeting code requirements. It now requires a 60-foot right of way for the purposes of that zoning and for Clayton Court. We've been going through this process of the board approved design work for Clayton Court that's been awarded to Merrick Engineering that they are working on, hopefully having that in hand completed by end of March, April timeframe. And leading up to that point, we did get a submittal from Bison Investments that met the current code at the time for our code requirements for building on Clayton Court. So they submitted a plat for that, and we're like, oh man, they submitted this plat before we had this right of way in place. And with this, kind of kicked off the discussion between staff and Bison as far as how can we accommodate this and work through your submittal for your site plan in a way where it doesn't require you to potentially go back to the drawing board for this. So working with them and working internally with our staff and reviewing their submittal, we were able to look at it, pushing this, their site plan 5 feet closer to the river to accommodate for that larger right of way. And in doing so, the lot lines again in the back of their property do get more narrow as you do go back. And their submittal is very much like a rectangle. So once you push that farther east, it did come up, their corners of the building did come over the property line that they do have on the northern property line there. So working through this and with their engineering team, with JVA and with Kent and with our staff, able to work this out so we can convey easements both from the town of Fraser to Bison Investments to accommodate for 1.5 feet of the town-owned lot on Clayton Court, future site for the art center that's to be tabled for the next item here, and to keep their site plan intact. We were able to work through this so that in exchange for the 5-foot easement for the needed right of way for Clayton Court, their development plan would meet the requirements, specifically fire code requirements, if we were to convey 1.5 feet of the Clayton Court lot in exchange. So that is what is before you tonight, is that consideration that is reflected on a site plan that I can bring up.
Yeah, we reviewed that at the last meeting.
Yeah.
We did. So at the last meeting, we discussed with the board if this is something that they wanted to do. The consensus with the board was to move forward with this conveyance. And one of the requests was to annotate this on the site plan, which I am bringing up now, and is also in the packet. So here's a site plan for their submittal. It includes 4 townhomes in the rear and the commercial space in the front along Clayton Court, with meeting the requirements for snow storage, access to the buildings. And here, if you kind of see on the northern side, is the dashed line of where their current property line is and where a 1.5 foot easement would be, which does allow them to bring in the corner of their building there to the north. So here's the annotation for the 1.5 foot or 1 foot 6 inch easement onto the current town-owned property. That's what's in front of the board for consideration.
Well, I don't see it affecting anything on the arts design that they want to do. We'd have a setback of 5 feet anyways from that. 10 feet, I guess, for our setbacks. Can't remember what they are now. Keep changing them.
For setbacks for the site?
At 1.5
Yeah, from the side,
doesn't really affect.
It doesn't affect.
It doesn't. I mean, for the Riverwalk district, for this type of submittal, it is a 0 lot line for the side yard setbacks. So you could build right up to right to the property line as long as it meets fire code.
Yeah. Well, like.
Yes, Paul.
I would just add, a request has been made. We have the raw water line from our wells on the north property line of our Clayton Court. So we are looking to move that to that property line within the trail that leads to the Fraser Riverwalk. So it would not take away from the art center being able to use it. It would just, the trail has to be realigned because it's on 2 parcels now. And as part of realigning the trail, the new water line would go under there so that it's not taking up 20 feet. It's just going to be that 10-foot section. So we've already directed as part of the Clayton Court infrastructure design to have that added to the construction plan. So when we go to construction, we can move that so that it gets it out of the way for any potential developer on that site, either ourselves or the art center.
That makes
So there will be a separation there that Steve would be working with for the trail to connect back to the trail that's already there. But we would now place the water line there so that the art center could move closer to that northern property line because there won't be the 10-foot water line easement.
Sweet.
And it makes just better use of the space too for the purpose
Oh,
of
yeah.
the art center.
Right, and if there's a problem with the water line, we can dig it up.
Always good.
That's a good thing.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number
Yeah, I
13.
think we got a comments.
Oh, we can.
Where's the art center? Is it on the north side or south side of
It's
it?
on the north side of this submittal. So this current trail right here that you're seeing. You see this trail here?
Yeah.
These 2 dotted lines here. That's just, they just depicted where the current trail is, which is kind of an informal trail access that's running. It runs through their property as well. So that trail will actually be brought up here. But yeah, the art center would essentially be right here.
That one exterior elevation that Michael displayed would be facing this building.
So didn't we talk about wanting to have more like retail along the river? So this is the way this is drawn. I'm not going to change their plans necessarily, but you've got residential on the river, you got retail in the front.
Yeah, Louis, that's because on our ordinance, it says that you have to have commercial on the front, not in the back, which was something we discussed at previous meetings. All future buildings, I think we need to change that ordinance, but all future buildings will have commercial on the back of them.
Yeah.
As well as the front.
And they had had this in the planning with us for a year and a half, 2 years before we made those changes on Clayton's Court. And they're ready to get started on it this summer. So I think that's part of it too. But they'll have right across the way will be that little corner open space at the end of the Public Arts Center, which will be sweet.
So everything
It's
else
gonna be
along the
tight,
river
but from there on down, we should be good.
commercial.
Yeah.
On the frontage of Clayton Court.
Yeah. I'm kind of bummed that it's getting built onto the far east side of the lot. You know, I was hoping to see green space back there that would follow along the river and go right to the art center. So I don't like this design, if I'm being honest, but it is what it is. I'm fine with the 1.5 feet. So, and that's what's in front of us at this point.
And this is scheduled for planning commission in March as
Right.
well for preliminary plat.
Okay, Greg's coming up.
And this is why I was, again, and it's too late now, but that's why the land swap was so important, because then we would have controlled the top of that, the northern part of that property, and really been able to set up the design we want.
Yep.
I'm Greg Beckler with Bison Investments. Just to comment on your point, Brian, we initially had this significantly more towards Clayton Court, and that was always our goal. And then with the update in the code to add that 20 feet of residential pushed us, and then the easement kept pushing us. So our initial design was 30 feet east of where we are now, 25 feet east.
Or west.
Or sorry, west. Yeah, west. And we did, we kind of took comments, because I think that came up in a previous planning or board meeting, to try and create more open space on on the river. And so we tried to keep that north-south boundary on the east side of this project, so that as you do move south, it does create more green space, and hopefully whoever does the sites to the south of us eventually, or however those get developed one day, we can kind of keep with that north-south boundary line that invites a lot of open space on the river. But yeah, that was not our first choice to move it back here. It's just kind of where we ended up after the code change, the request for the 5 feet. So yeah, I agree with you. We didn't want to be that close to the river in the first place.
One other thing, Bob Wolf was here earlier and he made a good point, that we want to make sure that this isn't just street front design, it's riverfront as well. So just, I haven't seen designs past this, but just, I'm asking if you can make it look really nice from the riverside.
Yeah, we have a dune in the back. I can show those elevations in our site plan hearing with planning commission will be part of that. But yeah, we have a dune in the back, natural grass. And we have to create a retaining wall with this movement. So that'll be another place for a mural coming in. So if you're walking south of this site going north, as you turn around that northeast corner of this building, there's a big space for a mural on the retaining wall. And that's our plan, just to spruce up a big concrete retaining wall there.
Okay. I like that idea.
The mural. Yeah, I don't really like the design either, but I don't think that's what we're voting on tonight,
No.
right?
Right.
All right. Okay, you're on. So
I'll do it again.
we're
Make a
out.
motion to approve ordinance number 513.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, it passes.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 512.
We have to mention anything about this, a change? in that the
There's-
property line there?
There is no change now. There's no change at all.
I don't think you need to, Katie. I
Okay,
think
good.
internally with staff, we'll just coordinate the recording order and handle
Great.
it that way.
Second,
Any discussion?
Yeah, I'm just a question about, does that preclude us from obtaining additional land or anything to help supplement that lot? Is
Yeah,
that,
that's exactly what it
that's my
says.
concern.
Yeah.
yeah,
If we find a better lot, we can switch it.
Yep.
That's the purpose of it.
And
Yep.
there are three, I mean, I guess even four adjacent lots next to it as well, that could be great future expansion sites.
Okay.
So they have the full ability to grow this, you know, if they have those opportunities, it's to their advantage if it makes sense to acquire any adjacent land. to that facility.
Okay.
Any more discussion? Okay, first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay.
yay. Hooray, we have a location for a public arts facility. Woo-hoo.
Thank you.
It's exciting.
Okay. And so we're all done.
We are on F.
Yeah, okay. So resolution 2024-204, Town of Fraser role as Northwest Transportation Planning Region Planning Assistant. Michael.
Me again. So I kind of kick it off, then obviously hand it to Brian, who's the vice chair of the Northwest CPR for any comments. But this is something that the Northwest Transportation Planning Region is, Brian may do a better job of defining this, but they do work with CDOT and regional, the regional counties, the counties involved in Northwest TPR to look at what the priorities are for transportation capital, maintenance and improvements that they want to advocate with the state to allocate dollars from the Colorado Department of Transportation and from the state's revenues for projects to actually get design work done and then get those projects done in those areas. Part of this Northwest TPR is Northwest TPR Planning Assistant, who is really just the kind of the coordinator, facilitator for this. They do some work as far as making sure that the plans are updated from the meetings, minutes, facilitation of the meetings, communications between the members of this group and the stakeholders, CDOT, for example. And one opportunity that's come to Fraser is Steamboat has been this planning assistant since its creation, I believe, for the last 15 years or so. And due to some kind of recent, I guess, adjustment and priorities from Steamboat, they have elected to no longer serve in that role. And as such, an opportunity has come for Fraser. Like, is this something that we could take on for the administration point of view, working with staff and our capacity and what we could do? It looks like we can handle this type of work as far as administrating this. There are upcoming plans for expansions of Highway 40, some finalizing of design for Highway 40 this year, coming through Fraser and outside of Fraser, and hopefully construction kicking off next year from those finalized plans. This will allow us to have a much better sync with the Colorado Department of Transportation, working with their people, ensuring that we have some good input on this design process, the construction coordination of this, and just making it allows us to have a larger role in addition to Brian's involvement as the Northwest TPR vice chair, to have that good coordination with CDOT as they're doing these projects. That way we're able to effectively communicate the community needs, what we're seeing as maybe some minor adjustments that would have good value for pedestrian access and off-road access. But this is I think a good opportunity, especially with the plans that have been confirmed over the next several years with Highway 40 coming through the county, and really just, I think, set us up for success for that level of coordination with planning in general, but also specifically with the Colorado Department of Transportation. Advocacy is a big part of this, and you do have to, there is some level of advocacy that comes from this facilitation and this planning assistant role. So that's what we're looking for approval from tonight. If the board thinks this is something that we should move forward with, we are ready to do so from the staff side of things. And this is a 1-year contract with CDOT to do this, which will be renewed every year as the town sees fit.
So right now, we have the staffing to do it. You guys can fit it into your relatively swamped schedules.
Yep.
Once we get past the election, it won't be so bad.
Yeah, and you know, at first we were looking at Antoinette and her team with the town clerks as far as this role. They're very much, their capacity is kind of over. And looking at we've been working with Public Works as far as with their team, and they have, I think, a team approach that's going to work to facilitate this. And then just having, again, that communication with CDOT on a lot of issues that we typically will have. Ensuring good maintenance of Highway 40, make sure potholes are being addressed, and just making sure that these capacity improvements, the design and the construction, are done in a way that we can best facilitate for our community as a whole, not just, you know, CDOT shutting down lanes, not, you know, having that lack of communication can be pretty detrimental. So Brian, I'll hand it to you if you got anything else to add to this.
Yeah, the big part of the Northwest TPR is the capital projects. But by going to these meetings and sitting with CDOT people, having those relationships, and that's why Berthoud Pass got $21 million to get repaved. You know, that didn't come from the Northwest TPR's budget. That was because we were in the room with these people saying that it's in horrible disrepair. So the more relationship we can have with CDOT, the more funding we're going to see, the more capital projects are going to come our way. Obviously, the Northwest TPR is to represent 5 counties, not just East Grand here, but it does help to have those relationships.
Why is Steamboat giving it up?
There's a lot of internal politics that are going on in Steamboat right now. So I would imagine that's a part of it.
And they've gotten their projects done.
And they've gotten their projects done.
There's no funding for this, for headcount, FTEs.
It does come with I think about $10,000 or $11,000 with the contract with CDOT that we would enter into. There are revenues that come with that.
A little bit, good.
Yeah, it's Brad.
So I'm curious, what happens? So let's say, Brian, you don't win as mayor. Can you continue in your role
Yes.
as chair, vice chair? Awesome.
Actually, that's
Great.
what's going on right now in the TPR. So Heather Sloop in Steamboat was term limited. So she is no longer serving as a member as any elected official. And she still got the chair position, even though she is not even representing Steamboat. So it
Because she's not.
she could
public.
she could represent Steamboat, but they chose someone else.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
Understood.
but the Northwest TPR voted her in as chair again.
Okay, good.
So it's an
Awesome.
election process with the counties that are involved in the TPR.
Okay, great.
I think it's an opportunity that we shouldn't pass up if we can, if we can
Absolutely.
carry it out.
Absolutely.
So any more discussion? Motion?
I'll make a motion. Approve resolution 2024-0204.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes. And now we have resolution 2024-0203, CNL Water Solutions, Inc. by Paul.
See y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Callie.
Good evening, board. Before you have the resolution for the CNL Water Solutions proposal, a little background. When they did the infiltration and the I&I study, the sewer line between Mill and Byers Avenue through the alley has the most I&I in town. Rather than
Is it
mess
Byers
with the
Avenue?
people on Byers by digging up their alley this coming summer, like we did in front of their house
No, that's not
this
my house.
last
Give us a
summer.
drink. Don't work on the
No, it's
furries.
Katie's
And
backyard.
Furries.
so we came up with a solution to chemical grout this for a price of 92,000 versus a full replacement, which would be probably $1 million plus, similar to the project we did last year for the sewer upgrade and the water line. The one difference here is that their CNL is a sole source company. They're the only company that can do that here in the state of Colorado. The next closest company is out of Utah. So Merrick reached out to the supplier and did a search, and there's nobody else in the state. So my recommendation is that we allow the town manager into a contract with CNL. This is a budgeted item in the 2024 budget for capital project for the wastewater. And this would be a chemical grout. It'd be about a 2-week process, not a 4-month process.
I don't believe you.
And this is that old sewer line
This is the old sewer line that runs
from
between,
Myers and the trailer court.
yes. So there's a lot of infiltration in there. So this is going to seal that, and they're going to go
What
up.
do the cameras have to say about all that? Are the lines actually intact?
Everything seems, I mean, it's a little bit disjointed, but the way this is, because it's a chemical grouting, they can make this work with their system. They have, we have provided all of the CCTV video of the storm, of the sewer pipe, and they feel they can make this work. So this is a kind of a way to save a lot of money on the project to see if it works. And if this works, then we can move into other sewer lines in Old Town to buy ourselves time to get the capital funding to do full replacements.
And how long, if the grouting does work, how long are they expecting?
10 years plus.
10 years?
So,
yeah. So it gives us enough time to come up with 1.5 million or so to replace that and make all those sewer connections. Because all the taps are what's going to be expensive, especially when we hit the trailer park.
And I would imagine that line, if and when the trailers go away, people sell those lots and somebody buys it to put in condos, multi-family.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the one lot that just went for sale, that property owner had no interest in connecting to their system. And so he would rather pay the 2 tap fees for water and sewer to have his own connection. So I feel as they get sold, that will change.
Yeah.
But
What's the expected success rate?
they feel that they can, their success rate is great. We talked to Crested Butte. Crested Butte has done this on lines and they have had no issues in the 5 years that they've been installed. So even if we were only to get 5 years, it's significant savings in capital.
And the same people are doing ours that did Crested Butte.
Same company.
You guys want to hear the numbers of gallons?
Yes, I do.
For
The I-9 inflow?
I don't remember what the number is on this. I don't have it in front of me, but however they've rated it, this rated as 17 units of whatever Lucas's study that he has. The next closest was Clayton, and that was only 12. So it's significantly, and Clayton is all the abandoned lines are leaking where the trailers were pulled out and not abandoned properly.
So it's going to save on sewer costs too, then.
Well, it'll save us cost of treating groundwater at the plant, which is a big thing that they don't like us doing. So it may exacerbate some of the issues we're having at the plant because you now have less flow. But on the other hand, we're not treating groundwater or rainwater.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it might enhance some issue.
Yeah, so, but I think we're getting a handle on that. That program is going really well. I know that we brought that before you guys at the last meeting. That is continuing to go well.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-0203. The CNL water solution.
Second.
Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then Paul stays up there for Public Works update.
So just want to give you guys an update on kind of how things went last year as we head into the current construction season and just CIP projects for this upcoming year. Last year, we were able to perform 5 preliminary acceptances and 5 final acceptances. and then complete 3 CIP projects. We will have a 6th final acceptance probably at the next meeting. So, you know, the things that we've implemented this year, you guys approved the merit contract again, has significantly allowed us to move projects forward and get them out of this kind of static state that they were in. Some of the finals were Meadows filing 1. I know Elk Creek filing 3 and 4, 4 or 5 years waiting on that. Grand Park Drive connector. We got Rendezvous EMF 12. Obviously the sewer upgrade, the water line that affected two of you for your entire summer. The Lions Pond bathrooms, which obviously everybody got to enjoy at Fire and Ice. Probably not adequate for a Fire and Ice event, but they were there. They're available now. We were able to accomplish the Chapter 19 code update last year with some changes there to clear things up, get rid of ambiguity. You guys approved a leak detection purchase this year of around $53,000. Using that technology, we were able to pinpoint a leak in Mill Avenue at the trailers that had been going on for years and difficulty in getting compliance, but we were able to pinpoint it and that was replaced. The leak in Norgren, I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with the leak that was going on at Norgren right here near Eisenhower. Since we have fixed it, we have found records of that been leaking since 2001. So since 2001, that has leaked approximately 17 million gallons of water.
Oh, my goodness.
Treated water.
Of treated water at a cost of approximately $12 million.
Oh, geez.
So
All right.
a $53,000 investment for the
Yeah.
water team was able to pay for itself this year, most likely. And so the plan is to find that, not find something that bad, but every 2 years every year find hopefully 2 leaks that we can then repair and stop wasting treated water. On the staff aspect, streets and utilities are fully staffed for the first time in I don't know how many years. So we have a full staff to help with utilities, streets. Unfortunately, the treatment plant, we're still down 2 positions. We're trying our hardest to get those filled and help Joe and Logan out, but they're working 6-7 days a week, no vacations, they can't. If you see those guys, just thank them for what they're doing. They're working pretty hard. Anticipated work this year, we have the Clayton Court infrastructure. A lot's been talked about that. That's currently in the design phase. Kickoff meeting was today. There was a little delay with DOLA getting us our contract. So some of our dates have been pushed back. Took us about 6 to 7 weeks after award to get the contract, and we couldn't award our contract till that contract was in, or we couldn't start any work, billable work. The Norgren and Eisenhower sidewalks that we had talked about, that's in the design phase and survey phase to get those installed. The Byers Mill sewer lining, which you just approved, will happen this year.
When? Do
What's
you
that?
know what month that's gonna be going on in?
Well, we have to get the contract signed with them and then get on their schedule. There'll be a Chapter 14 code update that we tried to get through last year and it didn't make it before building season. So we'll get that done in the next month. And then the plan is to have an open house with developers, invite them here to discuss what changes have happened in Chapter 14. A lot of it is clarification, getting rid of redundancies, unclear. Chapter 14 says one thing, Chapter 19 says something else, making sure they're matching, making sure that the details are current to the current standards that we have. And then the biggest thing, CDOT has given us approval to put in crosswalk beacons at all 3 crosswalks at Old Town. So we have 1 quote in from 1 contractor, and then came in a little bit higher than I expected, but so I'm going to reach out for a couple more quotes before we pull that trigger. But there's no issues from CDOT. They're fine with us putting them in, so
Wonderful.
we're good to go there.
Great.
So
Right.
As we're moving into the highlight of the I&I season, what are we doing about the people that are pumping their
So we have to
groundwater
have,
into sewer lines?
so we would have to have verification of that. And we now know of 1 through the meter replacement program that's ongoing, where we're replacing the meters with the new cellular meters. We have found somebody has directly connected their sump pump to the sewer line. So that will start being addressed as we get photo documentation from
Well,
the contractor.
Easy to figure out, just go around the loop and see who doesn't have a pump pumping out onto the street. That's a pretty good indication that they're pumping into their sewer line.
Yeah.
If they have a crawl space.
And that's one last update. They're currently replacing meters throughout town, and town staff is digging out crawl spaces. So we're not asking the homeowners to go dig out their crawl spaces. So they spent, I don't know, I think yesterday they spent 2.5 hours digging out a crawl space.
Oh, man.
But the benefit to the town is all of these zero read meters that are there for 5-6 years where you can't tell what they're doing. Those are now being changed. We're not having zero reads. And we get real-time data it downloads once. It reads continuously and we get a download once every 24 hours. So if you have a leak, we know right away and Lucas can address it and get staff out there.
Do they have to drive around to get those? It's automatic.
It's cellular.
Nice.
So same system that Grand County #1 just put in and Kremling put in.
The fellow that did the 2 replacements for us, he's great.
When
Really
they-
efficient.
When they did mine, it took 10 minutes in out, tested it, and we were done.
They forgot to shut off the water in mine, but anyway, it all worked out.
So once it's all up and running, users will get access to the website as well, so you can set your own alerts so that you'll know. Mine finally learned the difference between my washer machine running and a leak, so that's been great. I stopped getting those warnings. But appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's great.
Just something I'd like to highlight. Paul and his team have been doing really good work. Before last year, Paul, I think it's been 5 years, we actually had a scheduled capital project for water sewer replacement.
Yeah, I believe it was 5 years on capital project and at least 4 or 5 years with an approval of a development, unfortunately. So working pretty hard to try and get that moving forward. And then also collaboration with both Garrett and Brad on trying to make sure that development reviews are going through faster and better and getting all the comments in the first time from us so that you're not getting new comments on a second referral.
So just want to applaud Paul and his team. They've been doing great work. And I think really pushing forward a lot of great things for Fraser, where it's just been, it's a hard fight to replace some of this infrastructure and do some of these projects. But with your support, with working with Merrick for these inspections, has really just solidified us driving forward this. The replacement of this aging infrastructure is really paramount to maintaining services to our community. So again, just want to applaud Paul and his team. They've been doing awesome things, and looking forward to more of their work this year.
Paul, can you quantify the cost savings from those detection and repair of those leaks within the system? I mean, how significant is that for our water fund?
Well, 17 million gallons of water over the last 20 years that would have been treated and either stored or consumed by a user rather than just leaking right back into the ground.
Right. I'm just thinking now, like annually, because that's pretty significant.
So every gallon of leak it costs us about 70 cents to produce a gallon with electricity and chemicals, not counting manpower. So for every gallon we save about 70 cents. So it significantly helps. Obviously, losing that much water over that period of time, you don't necessarily see it, but just if we'd allowed that to keep going, we're paying for water that we've pulled out of the ground with a pump. We've then treated, we've then pumped out through the system to release right back into the ground for us just to pump it right back out.
Yeah.
So we've created a cycle and we're trying to find those. It's helped. We had a correlation issue for years. They thought there was a leak at Old Victory and Hay Meadow, and it ended up just being something in a valve on the fire hydrant. And with the new correlation equipment, they were able to localize where it was, focus on those 4 or 5 valves, and open them, reclose them, and now everything's fine.
Right.
So it's more than paid for itself already this year.
Yeah, it's great.
And for every leak we find, it's continually helping.
And if give you an idea how small the leak it takes to build up gallons, toilet, when you hear your toilet just kind of running because the flat feet go down, that can leak up to 200 gallons a day. That small leak. That's why it's important to have these detections.
And I'd like to give kudos to all of our staff. Our staff is killing it right now. Fire and ice was awesome. You guys doing all this work trying to get this DDA going and the election, Michael and his team and Public Works and Joe and Sarah, so. Here's to the staff of the town of Fraser. Thank you, thank you.
I have an update. So this kind of piggybacking off that Northwest TPR. So Northwest TPR is the 5 counties. We are also in Region 3 for CDOT. Region 3 and Northwest TPR does not align. So, so Region 3 includes like Glenwood Canyon and that stretch of I-70 and whatnot. And the folks at CDOT that I know are asking us to sign a letter of support to get safety improvements on Cottonwood Pass. So doesn't really directly affect us.
Which Cottonwood Pass?
No, the cotton, well, yeah, kind
We
of.
have our own local Cottonwood
Yeah,
Pass.
not that one.
Okay, I was
Yeah.
like, don't touch it.
Yeah.
I love it.
No, so when Glenwood Canyon shuts down and they set detours, they send people a different way, but Google Maps and Waze send people on that Cottonwood Pass. And it's a dirt road and it's not designed for I-70 kind of volumes. So they are asking for federal funding to make these improvements. So it's not coming out of Northwest TPR's budget, not even coming out of CDOT's budget. So they just want more people supporting it. And I think it would go a long way for our future projects if we sign this letter.
Do people live on that Cottonwood Pass?
I don't think so, but
I'd be
it's just,
bummed if someone paved my stuff.
yeah. And I don't think, it doesn't sound like they're looking to pave it. It says, Cottonwood Pass safety and mobility improvements, including curve softening, enhanced sight distance, and increased road width in specific areas to accommodate 2 vehicles passing, and then a bridge.
Legit.
Do we need that on County Road 50? I mean, people were, Waze was sending people.
Right.
I mean, there's only 20 cars stuck up there. What's the big deal?
It was 20? Oh
Is
my
that going
God.
like Church's Park?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's so funny.
No way.
yeah, and so it took a lot of sheriff power where they should have been somewhere else.
Yeah, that was crazy. Huh?
Yeah.
I didn't realize, I thought it was
I don't
one
know
or
if they
two.
talked to Google about
Yeah, I
that or
talked to a
what.
couple of the guys that plow back there and they were pulling cars out all day. I don't know how many at the night, by the time the night came, but they said there was 20 that they had seen.
Going up
Yeah,
to
but the
like,
county just puts a big sign that says road closed. No winter access.
Or dead end.
dead end.
Just put dead end
Yeah.
because
No
I don't even
through
know in the
traffic.
summertime if you can drive through that road to get.
Oh,
there.
I've,
You can't.
I've done it once and
Yeah.
I don't want to do it again.
No, right.
do
That's
that
what I
with
mean.
my
I don't
car
recommend it as
that
a.
way.
It's like Michael Scott driving into the lake.
Well, I think
And
we
my-
should go ahead and
and my
sign off
cousin
on
lives
that
on
letter.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Public safety.
Do we have a
Thank you,
motion
guys.
for
You
for
good
somebody
with
to sign that letter?
Good with us signing the
Okay.
letter? Okay.
We need to make a motion.
Make a motion to sign that letter to the
Second.
CDOT.
I second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Opposed? Okay. So was there anything else?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Sweet.
Okay,
Second.
early too.
8 on the dot.
All right. Let's see.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Hey, and thank you all.